Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy. This is the Spartan Blades Metis. First off, though, I want to thank my buddy Andrew for donating this to the channel. That's very kind of you, Andrew. I wouldn't have checked this guy out otherwise. And afterwards, I'll sell this guy. Money goes to charity. That is win-win for everybody involved. So thank you, Andrew. Next thing, let's do a size comparison real quick. This is actually not a huge knife. Here it is up against, pardon me, a Spyticodelica here. So you can see that in terms of sharpened blade length, it's around the same, but overall blade length is shorter. So that's good. Next thing here is the Spytico Dragonfly, another smaller knife. And let's see here, Ontario Rat number 1, as always, and steel wheel cut jack 3-inch blade. So again, this is not a very large knife, and actually it is also not a very thick knife. If we, let's see here, grab the Delica for a thickness comparison, you can see it's a little bit thicker than the Delica, but not really by a huge margin. So this is a relatively compact little piece here, and I actually do appreciate that very much. So there you go. Let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this particular pocket knife here. So on the good side, first off, the Metis here, that's the name of the knife, and it is actually from Greek mythology. Metis turned out to be, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it because I don't speak any Greek, or ancient Greek for that matter, but it is Zeus's very first wife, who Zeus later ate after turning into a fly, who then mothered Athena inside of Zeus, and Athena came out in full armor. Anyways, Greek mythology is trippy. But anyways, I love the fact that they're using Greek mythology for a bunch of their names over at Spartan Blade Works. That's kind of excellent, and I appreciate that very much. Next thing, the size of this guy is nice. The blade is coming in under 3 inches, which makes it legal in a lot of places. Look, I appreciate when companies are willing to do that. There aren't that many higher-end, smaller knives, so that's very nice. And frankly, just for carry, this is a relatively small knife. It's thin. I mean, you can see here, this fits entirely within the profile of the Delica. That's always something I appreciate. There are a couple of nice details here. So, for instance, you can see the screw is the screw is internally clipped. The clip is internally screwed, which is nice. They have date milling, which you might be able to see on the inside there. On the inside of the knife there is the lanyard hole. Honestly, I kind of like these lanyard backspacer things, so long as they don't stick up and they're not ergonomic wrecks, are always a beautiful thing. And you also see the Hinderer lock bar stabilizer here, which prevents you from pressing the lock bar too far in this direction and spring the bar. So that's nice. Next thing, the construction on this is very simple. It's 2 chunks of titanium here, 1 backspacer, a blade. There you go, case freaking closed. And then finally, this is a very secure knife in the hand. With this little finger groove here, along with the clip and all the other things, this jimping as well, this is just not going anywhere in the hand. Even though the scale itself is this sort of stonewashy titanium, I feel like I've got very good purchase on this, and that's very nice. And so that's the good to me, is that it is very secure in the hand, has a nice thin shape, simple construction, a couple of nice details in there, a nice size, and I'm loving the Greek mythology naming system. So that's the good. To me, what is great about this knife 100% is that action. This guy fires great. Just a very, very nice action here. It's not absolutely fall shutty, but you know what? The detent is nicely done. It's good and hard. It is a pleasure to flip. I absolutely enjoy the action on this guy very, very much. And so to me, what's great about this knife is the action. On the bad side, first off, this is, I got some nitpicks and then I got some real things. It is a weirdly over-polished knife to me. What I mean by that is, you see the top of the grind here? No, I don't really either. I mean, it's sort of just, it's been buffed like freaking crazy to the extent where the grind line almost disappears. That's not something I'm super in love with. And in fact, on a lot of this knife, it just kind of feels like there's a whole bunch of curvature here, but it's not like curvature that's targeted. It feels like the whole thing is a little bit over-polished. That's absolutely a nitpick, but, it is something that is a little weird to me. Next thing, there are, unfortunately, although the ergos are good for keeping it in the hand, there are a lot of hot spots here. You get hot spots off of this little area here, you get the side of the clip, the back of the clip here, you get hot spot off of that. This is a knife that is unfortunately full of hot spots. It's not terrible, but especially these guys right here just don't super well work in my hand, and so I don't like that very much. Next thing, this has weirdly thick blade stock, especially given the relatively short grind here. I mean, there is not a whole lot of time for this to go to full thickness here. This is very, very thick stock. I mean, if we compare it here to the Spyticodelica, oy, 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 that's pretty thick. And comparing, again, the height of the grind here, it's no wonder that this thing is not God's gift to cutting. I mean, it will cut things, and the grind is reasonably aggressive, but this really feels like it's sort of that gratuitous and not necessarily so good sense of overbuilt. Like, we just made it needlessly thicker without any regard to it being a cutting tool. I'm probably exaggerating there. You can still cut with this thing, but that's stock. Why, guys? Why? And then finally, on the bad side, this particular unit has a little bit of vertical blade play when you first flip it out of there. Especially if you don't flip with a lot of wrist here. There is vertical play here. I suspect that, and actually I know that I can fix this by pushing the lock bar a little bit further over. At that point, it locks up securely. And so this is probably something that I could fix by disassembling the knife and bending the lock bar a little bit further that way, such that the lock bar tension goes up. But the simple fact is, for a knife this expensive, I shouldn't be seeing vertical blade play here at all. I hope that this is just a quality issue with this particular knife, but oy. And so to me, that's the bad, is there's vertical blade play here. The blade stock is weirdly thick. It has a lot of hot spots on it, and it feels weirdly overpolished. On the ugly side, unfortunately, there's a fair bit of ugly here. To start with, the clip is just not good. I mean, if we take a look at the clip here, first off, you can see there is just zero ramp to this clip. I mean, there's not really ramp at all. It's just like it needs to slide underneath there. Like, you can pick the clip up and set it onto your pants. And note, by the way, that the clip is not natively touched. Look, I don't want to belabor the freaking point here. This clip just doesn't freaking work. It doesn't have much spring. It doesn't have much ramp. I can get it onto my pants if I really force it, or if I try and come in at some weird angle and then kind of... But no, this is a bad clip. It just doesn't work. It's attractive, but no. Next thing, the price on this guy. I had this in my mind as I was kind of carrying this before review. I was thinking, okay, like maybe 180, 200 bucks, something like that. But the price is a little bit nuts. I figured, what, I'm basing that on like the competition, like Kaiser titanium frame lock, ZTO 450, another made in the US thing. But the thing is, their pricing is absolutely nuts over there at Spartan. 340 bucks is the price for this guy. That's not a competitive price point, guys. That's completely over the top here. But then the ugliest thing of all is this. Take a look at the blade here. That's right, that's sharpened blade. And it is right flush with the edge of the freaking scales. Guys, you can't do that. I'm sorry. Throughout this blade, I can touch the back of this guy with my given relatively small fingers, meaning that this is an actual danger as you're sliding your hand into the pocket to get past the knife. That is just not okay. Of all the many, many things that you cannot do when designing a folding knife, having the knife able to cut you when it is closed should be right there at the top of the list, yet here we are. And so that, to me, is just absolutely freaking deeply ugly. And by the way, if you slip off the flipper tab, your finger is heading to a magical journey onto this sharp little area here. Just so freaking bad. So, to me, that's the uglies. That the knife can cut you when it's closed. It is really, really expensive, and the clip just doesn't really work. So that brings us to the final conclusion. There are some things to like about this knife. I mean, it's an unusual size. It's a kind of unique design. Has a very nice action, 100%, and a few really nice details here and there. But the thing is, there is a lot more that is not to like about this knife. The ergos don't really feel great for me. The blade stock is silly thick, the clip is just a mess, and the exposed blade is an unforgivable sin of knife design. I'm sorry, no. But then on top of all of that is the price. They want 340 bucks for a knife with all of these flaws. Like I said, this is just not competitive. The ZT450 is 160 bucks. It's a little bigger, sure, but it has similar action, same materials as 35 VN and titanium, better finishing, and none of the ugly. The Millet Torrent comes in at 375 for the base model. Again, it's a little bigger, but it's more detailed. There's more steel options. It's also missing that ugly, and it's got a touch of panache that I don't know that this guy has in the design. Heck, the closest competition is probably the Kaiser Mini Flashbang in terms of size and approach. It's made in China, certainly, but it's 260 bucks, so still cheaper, with M390 steel, which is, in my opinion, a step up here. And so this just, every time I look at another knife, I just don't see this price point. And so ultimately, the Metis is just not a great value, and it has serious, serious flaws. Come on. And so I'm afraid that with all the other options on the market, this little guy has already met his match. Anyways, hope this was interesting to you, and have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.